Fine. So as a part of today's agenda, we are going to talk on fusion architecture and enterprise structure in the fusion applications, and what is the security model we have as a part of fusion applications, and just we'll try to understand the users, how the users information can be managed and how it is different from EBS. Okay, here the first topic is fusion architecture. So it's very simple. So when I talk about fusion architecture, we have first application layer. Okay, so applications. So then we have a middleware, then database. Okay. In case of EBS, we have a applications under database, right? Applications under database. So those applications will have a direct communication, direct connectivity with the database. So to manage that application related security and any other aspects when you are going to do the integrations, so all these integrations or any other way of other aspects of communication happens directly with the application only. Okay, but in the just we'll see how this is a slight different in fusion applications. Just in case of EBS, this is what we have to understand: applications to database. But when I talk about fusion applications, there this is the architecture we have. We have on top application, and all these applications will be running on the middleware. And anyway, to store that application related process or any data, we have a database. So we'll go one by one. When I talk about applications, it's all about fusion applications. So you can take any application: fusion general ledger, fusion accounts payables, fusion account receivables, and cash management, FA, PO, OM, so on. Like we have many applications. Okay, there's no difference, but here only the point is these are all our fusion applications and middleware. So now in the fusion applications, so this is a platform where these within the application environment, within the solution, so these all applications will be running on this middleware platform. Okay, what are the applications we are going to have? All will be managed by middleware. If you want to do any third party integrations or any kind of data security you want to implement for these applications, that can be done through middleware. We'll see what are the different components we have when we are going to work as a functional consultant. Okay, what are the basic information we should aware of, which is a part of middleware. We'll see those points. So as a part of middleware, we have IDM, APM, BPM, UCM, SOA, BPL, and there are many other components. And when I talk about database, we have two databases here: Oracle database and S-based database. Okay, here we don't need to discuss on applications, right? Just this is a very known for us, known information for us. EBS or fusion applications, we have a respective applications. In case of fusion, we have a fusion applications. So now majorly we have to focus on middleware. So how it is going to be helpful for us, and what they just taken. And I mean, these all applications will be running on the middleware only, but again within the middleware there are certain different components which will help us to manage the security and other business process management and some kind of integrations. We'll just talk on that. The first point here is IDM. IDM stands for Identity Manager. Okay, the same IDM you can call as OIM also, Oracle Identity Manager. So what is the use of it? So in case of EBS, we create users and we create responsibilities, and we assign responsibilities to the users by using the system administrator responsibility. So this IDM is equal to system administrator responsibility, which we have in fusion applications. Okay, so by using the IDM, and again between the versions there are some changes they did, that also we'll be discussing, okay, once we reach that stage. But for now, let's try to understand these terms. Okay, so IDM stands for Identity Manager. The same you can call as OIM also, Oracle Identity Manager. What is the purpose? How we are going to use in terms of functional implementations? Means from this, within this within this IDM only you can create the users. Okay, we can create the users and we can give the role provisioning to that user. The user require access to which different business functions. That kind of specifications you can role provisioning you can do from here only. Okay, that is the one point we have to understand from here. Another one, we have APM. APM stands for Authorization Policy Manager. Okay, here what happens is in EBS we know everything, any user need access to anything will assign the responsibility, but in the Fusion we don't have any responsibility concept. Within the Fusion we have a concept called as roles. In EBS we have menus. Similar way we have roles in the Fusion applications. So in EBS we have a seeded menus as a part of fresh instance. We'll have a seeded menus. Okay, in the same way Oracle is providing the seeded roles, but all the roles, okay, the roles for say payables, receivables, cash management, fixed assets from different applications, Oracle is delivering the different seeded roles. To manage those seeded roles separately with the help of role templates, okay, we can manage the roles with the help of role templates. All the role templates can be managed within the APM application, Authorization Policy Manager. I'll take you through that when we get into the session. So but here simple point we have to understand, with this IDM or OAM we can manage the user related privileges. By using the APM application you can maintain the role template. Within the role templates you can maintain the roles. So for each and every application Oracle is providing the seeded roles. So which application, which roles we have, all the information we can maintain. And apart from that you can create the custom roles also with the help of APM and as well as IDM also. Okay, so majorly these IDM and APM applications for the purpose of user management and role management, simple point. So very primarily you can say IDM for user management and APM for role management. So roles are equal to responsibilities in EBS. Anyway, we are going to discuss that point very detailed level. And here we have another component called as BPM. BPM stands for Business Process Management. So this is equal to AME in EBS. In EBS, by using AME, we can set the approval rules. Now in Fusion, we don't have any AME. They just AME they replaced with the BPM. BPM stands for Business Process Management. By using the BPM only, you can define the approval rules. That's how you can set a process within the system. And the other component in the middleware is UCM. UCM stands for Universal Content Management. So basically this UCM we just come across in terms of data uploads, imports and exports. Simply you can say imports and exports. Okay, so if you want to import any data, say it can be master data, transactional data. When you do the data conversions, like technical people create the staging tables. They'll be just loading the data into staging tables by writing the lot of programming. Again they'll be populating the data into interface by writing many validations. Finally we'll bring the data into the base tables. So for similar process we have a UCM, where the UCM will be acting as some staging area. What we do is once we get the data from the client, that data will be loading into UCM. From UCM only you can take into the base tables. Okay, any data, if you have some setup data within the system, if you want to just export the setup data from the system to some files, we can use the UCM. And if you are going to import any data into the system which you prepared in the spreadsheet or any other formats, So you can use the UCM option. Okay, it's there as a part of middleware. So we call it as universal content management. For any data imports and exports, we'll be using this UCM. In our classes, definitely we'll be just working on this, but directly we don't see that is the UCM. When you are doing the process, we can understand that that happens through UCM. And other terms here you can see SOA, service oriented architecture, simply you can call it SOA. So in Fusion, if you want to do any third party integrations, we'll be using SOA only. Through SOA, you can do the third party integration. That is a separate technical task which need to be executed by SOA experts. And if you want to do any your BPM related workflows customizations, this is another BPL, so business process execution language, which they kept as a part of middleware. By using this language only, you can create new workflows as a which will be running within the BPM environment. So this is we have many other components which are as a part of middleware. But when we are going to work on as a functional consultant, it can be finance or SCM or procurement. These are the few points we have to understand: IDM, APM, BPM, and UCM. That's all. So these four components we should aware what purpose we'll be using. When we are going to work on the system anyway, we'll be just going through all these. So these are the few points just we have to aware of at this stage. That's all. So, and when I talk about databases, we have Oracle database where we'll be storing the transactional data, and S-based database is it's nothing but the Hyperion S-based database. So this is primarily used for reporting purpose. So in EBS we have FSG, finance statement generator, that they replaced with FRS. FRS feature from Hyperion only. Okay, from Hyperion. If you are going to use Hyperion, okay, to store the Hyperion related data, we need S-based database. So FRS stands for Financial Reporting Studio. So if by using the Financial Reporting Studio, if you want to generate the reports, the data should be available in the space. Generally, as per process, what happens is whatever the data we have, transactional data we have in Oracle database, that will flow into S-based database. By using the S-based database, we'll be able to generate the FRS reports in Fusion applications. Now we don't have any FSE in Fusion. In Fusion, you can see FRS. FRS is feature completely from Hyperion S-base. The data, it will be fetching the data from S-base database. And in terms of Hyperion, if you want to understand that from where, which concept they taken that functionality, HFR, Hyperion Financial Reporting. This feature they taken as FRS in Fusion applications. Okay, so these are the few points we have to understand when you talk about architecture in the Fusion applications. Any questions on this, please?
Laxman, I have a couple of questions.
Yeah, please.
So you did mention that as a functional consultant, assuming that you're working under the SaaS model, you would only get access to the application layer, right?
Correct.
Now, considering how you as a functional consultant will not be able to do your job without access to IDM or APM or BPM,
Yeah.
how does that come into picture? Because that's all considered SaaS.
Yeah. See, not as a pass SaaS only. So see here, whatever we are discussing, this all doesn't comes under any customizations. So I'm trying to give you the point here. In the middleware, we have IDM, APM, BPM, all these components, but these will be available for the consultants for access as applications only. Okay, these are placed in the middleware. Okay, these will be accessing from the middleware, where middleware will manage the any sort of securities or integrations. So whatever you see here, I'm not talking about anything. I'm not including any component which is related to some functionality related customization. These all are purely related to the stand to support the standard process. If you want to do any customizations, you can use the SOA. It's all about customizations means integrations, inbound interface or outbound interface developments, or within the applications to manage your workflow related the customization, that you can use this BPL. But when you say primarily customization, the Fusion application, Only the point is ADF pages development. That is considered as the primary customization task in the Fusion.
Okay. The second question is related to the third layer, which is the database layer. I understand how Oracle is still the transactional database and Essbase is more for your reporting purposes.
Yes.
Um, how close to real time is the data copied over to the Essbase database?
Okay. So whatever the data will flow into GL. So when you are doing the transactions in the subledger application, data is not going to flow into Essbase. So once we have information, see first what happens is system will create your primer ledger. So when you create your primer ledger, the primer ledger definition system will be saving into our Oracle database. Once you save into Oracle database, that will flow into Essbase database. This is the one case where data flow from Oracle database to Essbase database. That means your complete primer ledger definition will be stored in the Essbase. So system will take within the primer ledger will have a currency. In case of Essbase, everything will be treated as a dimensions and cubes. So your currency it will take as one dimensions into a space, and your calendar and chart of accounts within that segments, all that information will be submitted as space, so that those will be there available in the space as a buffers to store the information which is going to flow from the real transactions. So first our primary ledger definition will get stored in the space database. Then whenever you have any journal, the moment you post in your primary, you post in general ledger, that automatically the data will sync with Essbase. So there in the Essbase system will prepare the data in the multi-dimensional cubes, which will help us for very faster reporting. So we'll be working on this financial reporting studio FRS. At that time, we can talk on that more detail level. We'll look into what is the terminology we'll be using. Okay, what is
So it's really more like a real time then, right? Yeah.
yeah, it will sync automatically. We don't need to perform any additional action.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
But in theory, does it mean that your subledger transaction is not available out of the Essbase database until and unless the transaction is posted into GL?
Exactly. Directly that subledger transaction information won't flow into a space as subledger transaction. So once the transactions are accounted, when it accounted, like it will be created in the form of journal. In the form of journal information only that will flow into Essbase.
So if I have an AR invoice sitting in accounts receivable for the entire month,
Yeah.
for whatever reason I did not post it to GL, then I will not be able to come up with any fancy reports for that particular invoice.
Exactly. To understand in better way, see in EBS we have FSG, right? Can you use FSG to prepare the reports for payables related data?
It's only for GL.
Only for GL. That's it. This is also only for GL. They replaced FSG replaced with FRS. Now we don't have FSG. We have FRS. That's all.
Oh, that's interesting. So does it mean that you can't really do any subledger level reporting out of Hyperion?
No, you cannot do that. The subledger level, you cannot do that. Whatever the data is flowing from subledger to GL, based on the data within the GL, you can do. Based on exactly subledger, you cannot do it. FSG you cannot use to do that invoice related reporting and payment related reporting, right?
No, right. No, FSG you can, but I was under the impression Hyperion.
FRS also. When you say Hyperion, see, we have many things will come into the picture. We have HFM, okay, HFR, Essbase, Hyperion, Essbase. These are the different solutions available as a part of Hyperion. But here, what we are talking about is HFR. It's as a Hyperion product. This is the actual name. But since they taken that solution as a part of Fusion, that we are calling as FRS, Finance Reporting Studio. Okay, this you can see in the Fusion applications as replaced with FSG.
Okay, so I'm just going to jump hoops here and ask you one question.
Yeah.
So what would be my reporting solution if I want to be able to slice and guys data from the subledgers?
Subledger, we have like you have OTBI, we have BIP reporting, business intelligence reporting. We have which you will be doing in the subledger level.
So you have options basically.
Yeah, we have that. We have that solution, build solutions we have in Fusion.
Okay, I'll wait until you get there. Thank you.
Thanks.
So, Laxman, Bhavesh here. I have one question. So, you're saying that once the GL journals are imported from Subledger, and then SBS Cube would hit all these data for reporting. But if it is not posted, means let's say in EBS we have unposted the journal. Means the journal is still unposted. That means it has not hit the balances.
It won't
still
hit. Correct.
Still S-base would hit in that case also, or it would wait for the GL posting to be done?
Posting will trigger, because in S-base only the balances will get stored, not in the form of transactions. It's not transactional database. It's a purely summary balances will get stored in the S-base.
Okay, fine. Thanks.
Yeah. This
Laxman,
multi-dimensional.
this is Manoj.
Okay, well, there is certain terminology which you have to understand. What are the cubes, or what are the dimensions, what are the members? These points will discuss, and we will be working on the same. Yeah, please. I think somebody has question.
Laxman, yeah, this is Manoj. Yeah, because we're discussing middleware, right? So therefore, I want to raise this question.
Yeah, please.
So first thing is we have EBS, right?
Correct.
We already have EBS.
Yeah.
And EBS have these functions, as you say, it's sysadmin functions, right?
Correct.
We can assign responsibilities, we can modify responsibilities to security roles, right? So those type of things, then why did Oracle went to this middleware concept? As you say, IDM, APM, BPM, UCM. When we have this in EBS, they have the product.
See, because
so that's my question.
Yeah, when you say so EBS, in EBS, like there is no great, when you say EBS, it's a complete Oracle solution and all, but here we have a different products which Oracle acquired and built the solution to run all those different technology based. Definitely the middleware is required. That is one option they chose. And two, plug and play with any new third party applications. So to take the advantage from the SOA, they take in the middleware. And when different applications, third party or any other applications are going to communicate, they need one platform which will have a very flexible, very secured communication. So for that purpose, they used a middleware. So, and there is another solution called as coexistence. You can run your EBS, and you can continue with EBS. Still, you can go and subscribe few modules from the Fusion. For that kind of communication purpose, they need middleware. There are several reasons why they choose middleware. And in fact, if you see in the latest releases in EBS also, they included middleware. Now you have in EBS also middleware, but not that is equal to Fusion middleware. Certain components we have in the EBS middleware also. The latest versions which you see middlewares we have.
Right. So middleware is basically you're saying is because we have Oracle has different products, right? They acquire different companies. So this facilitates merging all this together, right? To give this fusion product.
Yes. It's all about for majorly middleware here comes into picture for our integrations and to manage the application related securities. This and to manage your data imports and exports from the different.
So it has a different schema total, or can we consider middleware as a different application?
No. Middleware is not one schema or one application. As a layer of middleware, we have multiple applications. So this is middleware. When I say application, okay, for entire apps, okay, we'll be having one schema. But here, when you say it's a middleware, it's separate technology which will be holding the different applications, which will help in terms of functional and technical other aspects. It will have multiple components within that middleware.
Okay, got it. And last question I have, I think someone touched on this, right? So Hyperion, when you're going to explain Hyperion, will it only cover GL portion of Hyperion, or
that is there in Fusion? GL portion only they given as a solution.
Oh, in Hyper.
Yeah.
But Hyperion allows to have reports on other modules, right?
Yes, we'll be
They are
preparing the reports
happy.
based on the GL data.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Question, Laxman, it's Venkat here.
Yeah.
For the middleware, you had mentioned about UCM, right? And UCM is being used to import data into the Fusion or export the data, and also it is also used as like an interface, right? So UCM is more like a SQL loader in the EBS.
UCM, when you compare with EBS, it's similar to staging tables. We use staging tables, right?
Like an open interface. Like an open interface.
Sorry, I didn't get you.
Like open interface, right? Say if I want to import invoice.
Open interface. It's not open interface. It's not there as open interfaces only. So in EBS, what we do when we are doing data conversion, they'll create the staging tables, right?
Yeah.
Staging tables, they'll load the data into staging tables. They'll write many validations. Then they'll populate the data into
When you say load, how are we loading the data? Yeah.
Through file format. So Oracle is providing FPDA file formats, file-based data import. So these all templates we have to download from Oracle website, and we'll be filling the data, and these FPDA files will be converting into CSV, and those files will be loading into system through UCM. First we'll load it to UCM. From there we'll move the data to open interface. From there we'll import into base tables.
Okay. And we can, if you want to massage the data, we can do it, right? Before loading into the open interface table.
Yes. Before opening into interface, when the data is available in the UCM, you cannot do anything. If you want to massage the data, whenever you have data in that spreadsheet, you have to do it. That is the first step. Okay, however you want to do the changes or anything to data, you can do it. Once you're done with the second step is we have to place that information, data into UCM. That is second step. Third step would be moving the data into open interface. The fourth step would be importing into base tables.
So Laxman, all these are coming with the technology stack, right? Basically, this is a separate installation you're doing.
No.
That is installing this middleware, correct?
No. See, by default, it comes with a Fusion application.
Okay.
So by default,
so when they install it, then this whole stack comes in.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Without middleware, no application will run.
So they first install the middleware and then they go to the applications.
Yeah. As a process, what generally they do is first they'll install the database. When you talk about DBA point of view, first they'll install the database, then they'll install the middleware. Okay. Then they'll install the application. Yep.
So we have Fusion and new features comes in.
Yeah.
Laxman, I'm sorry.
Yeah, please go ahead.
I still have a little skeptical about the UCM. When you said if I want to massage the data, it had to be done at the file level, right?
Yes.
And then, so what if I want to compute few values based on the values in the file? So can I not do that before I load into the tables here?
No, you cannot do that. That you can do in the interface level, open interface level. When you have when you place the file into UCM, no validation is required. Okay, when you place that.
Okay, so after UCM,
you'll be.
So once in the open interface, then we can do it.
Yeah, you'll be loading as a flat file. There is no validation. It is not going to get placed in UCM through some tables. No tables, just raw data.
Okay. So when it is there in the open interface, then we can do whatever we want to do, right?
Yes, the open interface will have a tables and all validations will come into the picture. When you try to populate the data from UCM file to open interface, then system will start doing the validation, which field is mandatory, optional, and what are the predefined validations Oracle written. Accordingly, it will do that. And again, whenever you try to import, many validations will come into the picture. We know that. So.
Okay, and as a functional consultant, do I have to be concentrating more on the UCM? Where as a functional consultant, where will I draw a line here?
No. Being a functional consultant, we should know how to place the file into UCM. That's all.
That's all we care about.
That's it. That is a task we have to perform.
Okay.
Just we have to
So Laxman,
how to place.
Laxman, sorry, Bhavesh. What does ABDI then UCM to open interfaces and base tables? So these entire layer, this actually involves only transactional tables or master tables as well, like customer master or customer import. If you have to do, we have to use FBDI, or there is another functionality in Fusion that takes care of that.
So what the master data and transactional data, right?
Right.
Master data and transactional data also you will process them only. So your master data file are transactional open invoice, open transactions are master data files. First we'll place into UCM, then we'll be routing to respect to open interface by submitting the program.
Okay.
They have separate programs for every module. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, every module we have separate program. See, there is a common program to move from UCM to any application. Again, we'll give some specification. The data is belongs to what? Suppliers data, or customers data, or open invoices, or open transactions. We have that specification.
You'll cover those, right?
Yeah, we'll be covering everything. We'll be covering. When working as a consultant, this is all we have to do it in the project. So I'll be covering.
So covering the course.
How to load the open invoice. We'll create open invoice in the spreadsheet. We'll put some information. We'll convert into CSV. We'll load into UCM. We'll move to open interface. We'll import into base tables. In between, if you have any errors, where to go, how to rectify, how to correct, and how to import. These and all we'll see in our classes. I'll be covering this open invoices for payables and suppliers data load, customers data, auto invoice data loading into receivables application, how to load the assets, okay, how to load the journals as a part of migration, what we do, all this will be covering in our classes.
So how do we cut the technical resource here? As you said, I'm sorry, I'm using that term, but as you said, like Fusion wants everything be done by the functional, right?
Not everything.
For data conversion.
Most of the things, yeah, including data conversion. So technical only require if you are going to do inbound or outbound interfaces. So in that case, we need just SOA expert. Okay.
So inside we don't need it.
Otherwise, no. Okay. Otherwise, no. So if your client is going to use the pass model, okay, if there are some customizations, you may need consultant to do the ADF developments, ADF page development. Otherwise, not required.
But fixed asset loading and all, for example, we don't need, right? We can use UCM. Okay.
Yes. We don't need it. We don't need any technical consultant for any data loads, conversions.
Yeah. We might have more question. I might have more question when we do it in the application.
Yeah, sure. When we reach that, we can definitely talk more.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks. So, any other questions from anyone? Any questions from anyone, please? Just before, see once. Hello?
Laxman, I have a question here.
Yeah, please.
So due to this middleware, will be there any changes in the functional setup of a financial model?
Your voice is not more clear. Okay, I can understand you're asking any set configuration related changes between EBS and Fusion, right?
Yes.
Yeah, there are some changes. Yeah, there are some changes, certain changes, and there are many things which you have to understand.
Yeah.
Fusion.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Okay. So, see, just I'm trying to give you this information where we can get introduced to these terms. That is the first target. Then once we get into the session, we'll see that. So once we get into the session, we'll start with IDMs, other components. Then by the time you can understand, okay, yes, this is a part of middleware. There you may not see the title of we are entering into middleware, but we should have a general understanding. That is the reason I'm trying to give these points. That's all. Okay, done. If no question, we can just jump into the next topic. Fine. So that's all about middleware. Okay. So this is the terminology we used, and the next uh, concept here is enterprise structure. Okay. So before we talk about Fusion Enterprise Structure, let's talk about our EBS multi-org. Okay, when you say multi-org, so we know very well we'll have a business group, right? Business group, and under business group we'll have a primary ledger, legal entity, operating unit, and inventory organization. Okay. So this is how we have, like it is in the hierarchy. You can have a hierarchy on top BZ, under BZ primary ledger, under primary ledger LE, and under LE operating unit, under operating unit inventory organization. So when you look at same multi-org structure, just they renamed it as enterprise structure. Enterprise structure, Fusion applications. They're not going to call it as multi-org. Okay, they renamed it enterprise structure. So these within the multi-org, these are the organization units. We can treat these are the different units which are part of our multi-org structure. In the same way, what are the different units we have as a part of enterprise structure? So within the enterprise structure, we'll have a on top enterprise, and under enterprise we can have a divisions, and under divisions we'll have a primary ledger. Under primary ledger we'll have a legal entity. Under legal entity, here we have operating unit, that they renamed it as business unit. Under business units we'll have inventory organizations. Okay, so this is the enterprise structure which we see in the Fusion applications, but here these all are mandatory except division. Division definition is optional. It's optional definition. Okay, the rest of definition what you see here, it's more or less similar to multi-org structure only. So let's talk about what is this enterprise and the divisions and rest, which we have to understand compared to EBS. So in EBS we have a business group concept. Within one instance you can create multiple business groups as per the business requirement. But when it comes to Fusion applications, for one instance you can have only one enterprise. One instance you can have only one enterprise. So when I talk about business group, that can be country specific, but enterprise is not country specific, it is client specific. So within the pod, whatever the pod we get from Oracle, nothing but instance, so that would be allocated for only one client. So for that client or for that enterprise only, the definition is applicable. Basically, as a part of enterprise, here we'll be setting all the controls and defaults related to HRM, HCM related, human capital management. Okay, human capital management as a part of HCM solution. How we are going to manage that defaults and controls, all you can define as a part of enterprise. What are the jobs or roles? Okay, jobs or positions and costing information, how you want to generate the employee numbering in terms of salary, what are the assignment you are going to have for employees, all the definitions you can see at enterprise level. So if you are going to have a implementation for multiple countries, under within the enterprise you can have a separate solutions by creating the separate HR organizations. But for one instance you can have only one enterprise. Whatever the configuration you do within the system, that all comes under the same enterprise. For one client, one enterprise. Okay, so that's how we have an enterprise concept. Primarily enterprise level will do all the HCM related controls will be specific, or you can set HCM related default information. Okay, when it comes to division is optional, but what purpose you can use the division, the Fusion application? We know the concept division concept which we use as a part of chart of accounts. Okay, in the chart of account also you can have a segment called as division, but if you have a requirement, if you want to have a segment called as division in the chart of account, then only there will be meaning if you are going to have a division as a part of enterprise structure. So when we are going to have a division as a part of chart of account, why again they given the division definition at enterprise level? In terms of any reporting, you take example of HR related or PPM, project portfolio management. In these all the aspects, there will be will be creating the structures, and that's how the reporting will happen. It can be in case of PPM related, it can be expense related reporting or some task owning organizations or different level of reporting will be doing. So in those aspects, whatever you are going to have as a chart within the chart of accounts as a division, the same if you want to represent as a part of enterprise structure, you can have a division as a part of enterprise structure that can be used in the reporting hierarchy. So otherwise, if you are going to have a division within your enterprise structure, and finally if you are not going to have the same division as a part of your chart of accounts, there won't be any impact on division with respect to financial transactions. Okay, the division is not going to be part of any financial transaction until unless this division you are going to have as a part of your chart of accounts segment. In the rest you can see the same as EBS, primary ledger, legal entity, but here we have operating unit, the same we are calling here business unit. They renamed, and there are some changes also did how we manage operating unit, how we create in EBS, and how we create in the fusion application. That we'll see. Inventory organization remains same as inventory. So to just any questions on this, the enterprise structure and fusion applications, please. Another point is, yeah.
Laxman, I have a question on that. In the EBS concept business group, we can have individual business group for each countries. For example, I have a company based in 3 different countries: US, America, and India. UK, America, and India.
Yeah.
So I can have 3 business groups which represent HR for each country. So in Fusion we have enterprise. So you said it is client specific here. So in the same scenario, for example, I have one in UK, US, and India. So how do that work?
See, in EBS, what business group will do is it will segregate the data, right? It will
HR data, yeah.
It will group the data, right?
Yeah.
Country specific, maybe.
Yeah.
So in the same way, in the fusion also equal to similar to business group, we have a LDGs, legislative data groups.
Okay.
Legislative data groups. Here we have a business group. Here they are calling as data group. This will segregate country specific data as per our requirement. So this legislative data group will create country specific. Okay, which will be this we can use this legislative data group to manage your HR and payroll related information. That's how they give in the
okay.
Okay, country specific LDGs we can create. Okay, so it should be country specific only.
Laxman, could you please explain about divisions once again?
Yeah, see, it's a division. Say if you are running, say you have a different verticals. You are in your enterprise. You are running the different. You are doing the business in different verticals or different domains. Each domain or vertical you can take as a separate division. Say you have a consulting services. That is a one division. You have automobiles, another division. Okay, you are into some textile business. That's how you can have different divisions. Okay, those all divisions also you can create as an enterprise structure, and that's how you can manage your business. And if you are going to have just as a part of enterprise structure, that won't be enough. Just if you are going to have the division definition as a part of enterprise structure, there won't be any use. That won't reflect any financial transaction. If you want to reflect the financial transactions, the division you should maintain as a part of your chart of account as a segment.
Okay. Yes.
Yep. That's how it works. But when you look at the enterprise structure, how that information is going to be managed, that if you want to represent as a part of enterprise structure, you can include within the enterprise structure also. Okay, so That's how the definition is available in the Fusion application. But ultimately, that should be part of chart of account structure.
Yeah, to include it into the enterprise structure, we need to have the division into our chart of accounts.
Yes.
As a segment.
Yeah, segment you should have. So, any questions here, please?
Laxman, for the enterprise structure you said, right, this Manoj. So for business group, we require like multiple key flex fields, right?
Yeah.
Mandatory.
Yeah.
When we create a business group. So are you saying that is what you're referring to HCM controls? We need those type of
yes. So generally in EBS, when you're creating the business group, as a part of business group info, what we do will be specifying the key flex field structures, right? Job, position,
right,
people group, right? All will be specifying the same specifications you can do at enterprise level. That is the very highest level. And in the down the line, when you are creating the country specific organizations, which will be associated with the specific legislative data group, this simply we call as LDZ.
Okay.
So
LDZ is also a different organization, right?
Yeah, different country specific definitions for your payroll and HR. Okay, under this you may have a different organizations. When you are creating the organizations, what happens is system will be defaulting the controls which you have in the enterprise level, the job or position, but still you will be able to override at your organization level.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, that's how it works.
It's kind of defaulting.
Yes.
And the divisions is kind of just to represent your structure, right? It's not helping.
That's all. So how you are going to segregate your business based on the domain of business which you are doing, or some vertical of business, or else other example you can take some different geography as a different division. APAC one division, EMEA another division. This is how you can segregate your total business operations which spread across the globe.
That is not mandatory, correct?
Not mandatory.
It's just optional.
It's optional.
We can just leave it alone and
yes.
And I just said create a segment and maintain from there.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks. So any questions on this, please? Finally, we can see here there is no much difference. Anyway, when you say business group here, enterprise, within that, so similar to business group, we have legislated data groups to manage that similar solution. That anyway, that is a part of HCM consultant. They'll take it off. A division, if you want to have it, if you have a segment, if you are planning to have a segment called as division within the chart of account, the suggestion is like better you can have the same as enterprise level. That can be useful for the reporting purpose in the hierarchical point of view. Otherwise, the rest of...
Hi, Laxman, I have a question on division.
Sorry?
This is Vikas. I just have one more question on division.
Yeah.
You mentioned if you define a division and if you want to use it for any reporting, you also need it as a part of chart of account structure.
Yes.
Right. So that means if I have it chart of account structure, my GL reporting is covered by chart of account structure anyway.
Yeah.
Most of it. So is this division available at subledger also? If I am generating a report where my multiple BUs could be pointing to one division.
No.
Is this division available as a parameter in subledger?
No. You don't see parameter anywhere. Okay. If you want to track this as a parameter, that should be part of your chart of accounts only. That has a hierarchy, just to keep what exact hierarchy you have in your company, that you can include the division as a part of your enterprise structure.
But is it available anywhere?
If you are going to limit, just if you are going to limit division as a part of your enterprise structure, okay, just for reporting, if you are not going to include in the chart of accounts, you cannot take any advantage of tracking the financial transaction division wise.
Okay, so it's just an element in the structure, but actually I can't see this element anywhere for generating any report.
Yes, reports and tracking or if you are going to create any invoice or payment or any financial transactions, if you are going to perform, you cannot select it. If you want to select, that should be there as a... It's all about two independent definitions, but we have to sync with our solution. Means we'll create division. Then the same advantage if you want to take for financial transaction, same as it is we have to maintain in the chart of accounts also.
Okay, I thought they could be doing it because Hyperion needs some division. They are trying
not. No. There is no connectivity with Hyperion here.
No. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks.
Yeah. Thanks. So any questions here, please? Fine, since no question. So the next topic here is Fusion security. So when I talk about Fusion security, the security model what we are using in Fusion we call as role-based access control. Role-based access control. Simply we call as RBAC. In EBS also we have a role-based access control, but that is limited to very specific applications, primarily web applications. And if you remember, like to create the bank accounts, we'll give some grants to legal entity to make as a owner. Okay, and some other applications, if you have experience of using iProc or iSupplier, and in those applications generally we have the functionality called as role-based access control. But when you are working on a core financial application, GL, APR, if you want to give any privileges to any user, only the option is responsibility. Through responsibility only you can give the access to any user to access any application related functionality that is related to setup related or transaction related. But in the Fusion, the complete solution they delivered based on the roles only. So in EBS we know very well we have a concept called as menus, right? Within the menus we have a submenus, and within the submenu we'll have a function. Okay, so menu, submenu, function. Say for example, we have one user who need access to accounts payable application to create invoice and payments. So say the user is a manager. We have a manager, we want to give access to that manager. So under specific operating unit, there is one manager who need access to accounts payables to work for so and so operating unit. So in that case, what we do is we'll create the AP responsibility, right? We'll create AP responsibility. After creating the AP responsibility, if we are going to assign this AP responsibility to manager or say user, okay, the user can have access to this responsibility, but until unless you assign operating unit to that responsibility, the user cannot record any transaction within this AP responsibility. That means we'll just OU operating unit will assign to this responsibility, or say simply, so operating unit will create and will assign to responsibility, and that responsibility will assign to user, right? This is how it works. So without operating unit, there is no use of this responsibility. If you are going to use something like system administrator or some other responsibility where we no need to map any data related definition, then that would be fine, just which you can use for setup purpose. But when I talk about AP responsibility, definitely will be using for transaction purpose. We have to associate, we have to assign operating unit to responsibility. Then when you assign this responsibility to user will be able to have access to the different functions which are provisioned to this user through submenus or through direct menu, and then they'll be able to record the transactions or they can view the transactions with respect to specific OU, say OU1. Okay, so why we are using the responsibility concept in the Fusion, sorry, EBS? The primary reason is in EBS you cannot directly connect this operating unit to menu. If you want to connect, associate operating unit to menu, that is possible only through responsibility. So first you have to take the menu into responsibility, then if you assign operating unit to responsibility, within that responsibility whatever the menu or submenu whatever we have, that OU will be connected with this menu whatever you are going to have within the responsibility. Anyway, finally that OU is going to connect with the menu or submenu whatever we are going to have within the responsibility. Of course, as a part of responsibility, we will be selecting some request group and data group. Those specifications also will be doing, but primarily in terms of user access, so we need the menu only. So directly we cannot connect in EBS. That is the reason. So OU, we are creating responsibility, or we are assigning OU to responsibility. Finally, that responsibility we are assigned to user. So that user will have access to the menu what we have in the responsibility. Through that menu, we will be able to do certain transaction for specific OU. That's how it works. When I talk about Fusion, how the same logic we have in the Fusion application. So whatever we know very well in EBS, okay, this is a security model we have in EBS. The same how it works in the Fusion. The Fusion, basically we have a different type of roles. Say we have a job roles, and we have a duty roles, and we have a data roles. So what is the meaning of job role? It's very simple. What we are calling as menus in EBS, the same we are calling as roles in the Fusion application. Okay, so in EBS we are calling as menu. The menu concept only in a Fusion we have as a job roles. The job role is equal to EBS menu only. If you have a menu here in payables, say AP Navigate GUI 12, that is a menu name. In the same way in Fusion they are giving some job role. Here technically they are writing that naming convention AP Navigate GUI 12, but primarily that is required for whom? Like for manager level access, that menu is required where they can have access to everything. Here one of the job role name is payables manager. So very simple. So in Fusion what you see as a job role, that is equal to EBS menu only. The menus concept only they introduced in the Fusion as a job roles. And in EBS we have a submenus. The submenus concept they introduced into Fusion as a duty roles. And here functions we have. Here we call as a privileges, or same you can call as function, just we call it as privileges. Here functions remain same functions, or call it as privileges. And here data role. Here in case of EBS will have a responsibility, and operating unit will be associated with the response. In case of GL, okay, the primary ledger will get associated with the response. That's how we'll map. So this definition, what definition? Responsibility and OU association. Okay, this definition is equal to data role. Okay, here how it works means, so you'll have a primary ledger, say you're operating in, here we call as BU, right? BU combination with role, or you can call as job role, anything. So this combination only we call as data role in the Fusion applications. So this is data role is equal to EBS, this responsibility which got associated with your operating at our primary ledger. And apart from that, we have another role called as abstract role. Okay, abstract role. Okay, this is just common role. See, when you talk about job roles, those are specific to application. Here menu, when you talk about menu, the menu can be related to GL or AP or AR, any application. The same way job roles are specific to application. When you say submenu, submenus always will be part of menu. In the same way, duty roles always will be part of job roles. And here this is the logic we follow in EBS. Similar logic here we have a concept called as data roles. This data roles also will be specific to application. And when I talk about abstract role, this is a common role which is not specific to application. It's a very generic, which we treat as, so basically there is a role called as employee role. That role we call as abstract role. Abstract role means so a role which is generally required for any user. So any user will be working in the system as an employee. So that is the reason the abstract role called as employee will be assigned to the roles that will give certain privileges to users. That we'll see in the system, but just try to understand. Primarily when you talk about RBAC, role based access control in the Fusion, we have a 4 type of roles: job roles, duty roles, data roles, and abstract roles. Job roles are equal to EBS menus, duty roles are equal to submenus. And here when you see here functions we have in Fusion we call as privileges, that is doesn't comes under role type. And data roles we have, the data roles is equal to this definition in EBS. Okay, and here we have other role called as abstract role. It's a very common role which need to be assigned to every user to get certain access privileges. Okay, these are the few points we have to understand when you talk about role-based access control. Any question here, please?
BU stand for?
Sorry?
BU stands for?
Business unit.
In the data business unit. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Laxman,
yeah.
Laxman, here you are saying these are different roles, right? But in sysadmin for EBS, we can assign this menu, submenu functions, OIU.
Correct.
Do we have any specific responsibility type of thing for Fusion?
To do this, we have separate they made some slight difference also version to version. Those two also we are going to discuss. So these assignments you can do from IDM.
IDM, okay.
IDM, and we have in other way security console also.
Okay.
Okay, these two. Okay, for the previous version and the latest version, there is slight changes related to security. In our classes, we are going to cover both. Okay, we are going to cover the very latest and running versions. What are the changes we have?
We'll get access to R12, right? That's
we will give you access for 11 and 12 also. Both you can get access so that you can look after those changes also. I'll be covering in classes. Okay, we'll provide access for 11 as well as 12, both.
12, okay.
Yeah.
And Laxman, regarding this responsibility, can we do the menu exclusion and inclusion in the in this data role?
Yeah, we can do that. We can do that, but it's not like in Fusion case, you can copy the menu, copy the role. Okay, you can copy the role and you can remove certain privileges which you don't want to allow the user to have access. That's how we can do it.
Like customize, like personalization on responsibility.
It's not personalization. It's very simple. Like it doesn't come under personalization. Just you can remove it.
Oh, in that case, sorry.
It's very easy. You can copy multiple times and you can create multiple definitions. You don't need to create new. If you want to create from scratch, yes, you can create. You can create this any of the role as per your requirement. You can create new jobs, duty roles, data under abstract. Yeah, please.
What about the reports? Report group when we are assigned the responsibility to the report groups. We are restricted to some reports on the user basis.
Yeah. See here. Right. Okay. Let me mute, please. Yeah. See here when I talk about EBS. Okay. EBS responsibility. Within the responsibility only will be specifying request group, which will be holding the reports and menu and data group. When it comes to Fusion, you have a role. Within the role only you can take all the privileges. Okay, when you are creating the role, within the role only you can take the request group concept also report. And functions access. That means there is no separate definition. In case of EBS, these are report separate definition, request group, and menu access privileges for particular functionality. Data group, it has to be targeted which database schema and all. But in the Fusion here, this we don't need to. This will be specifying that is a separate task. But here request group and menu we don't find as a separate in Fusion. All will be included in the role only. When you have a role within the role, you can add the privileges, you can add the reports also. So those are not going to be separate definitions and separate assignments.
Okay, done.
Okay. Reports.
Can you repeat the abstract role? I cannot understand what the basic purpose of abstract role.
Abstract role is something. It's a common role. It's a very simple example. I'll tell you. In EBS, in case of EBS, if you want to submit any report or program from SRS window, we need to have some additional privileges for the user. We need to assign any additional privileges, additional responsibility.
Okay.
No, I am asking the question. So say for example, you have access to payables responsibility.
Okay.
Now you want to run one report from that responsibility. You want to access to SRS window, standard request submission window we have, right?
Okay, done.
If you want to access that window, do you need to provide some additional privileges? No. In EBS by default, okay, if you have access to any responsibility, it will allow you to navigate to SRS window. From that window, whether you can run the reports or programs, that totally depends whatever the request group is assigned to that responsibility, right?
Done, right.
So that's how by default we have in the EBS application. But in the Fusion, if you want to have access to the similar page where you can submit some reports or programs, you have to assign the abstract role called as employee to user, any user. Then only they will have access to that kind of page. And not only that, there are some additional privileges also user will get when you assign the abstract role. I'll just take you through in the system so that you can understand. This is not very specific to any application. This is a very generic for any user will be accessing the application.
But at the role level, just like in the EBS, in AR super user menu, I want to restrict some sub menus. Then how can we do that in the Fusion application?
The Fusion application, what if you want to restrict, what you can do is say like you can, when you are assigning to the user, there is no point where you can specify the restriction. If that is a requirement, whatever the role you are going to assign to the user, whatever you want to restrict from that, make a copy of that role, and whatever you are planning to restrict, remove that. Anyway, it's a copied one. You are not just changing the seeded one.
In ABS, when we define the responsibility, and at the end of the responsibility form, we will exclude the menus.
That is not possible.
From
what I'm trying to say. When I assign the role to user, there you assign the responsibility to user, right? But here we'll assign the role to user.
Okay, done.
After assigning, you can remove, but here before assignment, you have to do it. That's what I'm trying to say.
Okay, I understand.
Yeah. After assignment,
it's more like GUI, right?
Sorry.
It's more like graphical user interface.
Yes.
In this case.
Yeah, correct.
Then form based.
Yeah, correct.
And one question I have, if we want to add a report, right? Like any responsible payable manager, as you said, we just add it directly. Like is a drop down kind of thing. You copy paste to that role.
No. In that we'll do as a part of role customization that you can do from here, security console.
From there we can give them access to whichever report.
Add privileges. Add privilege. The privilege can be report related privilege or function related privilege.
Okay. And all the serial reports are same in Fusion.
Yes,
and in EBS.
Same. We have we have some additional reports also based on which they brought with some new functionality. They added relevant reports also they given, but the naming convention, tables, reports, and everything remains same as EBS. Since our EBS finance only they taken as a part of Fusion solution.
So we have the abstract role, as you said, right, to get the user on the report.
Yes. Give access to that page from where user can run the reports. We can use this abstract role. We'll be testing everything, whatever we are just seeing, just for like as introduction what we have. Then once we get into the system, by the time you will be aware of these naming conventions, it will be very easy for us and to start with the system. That is the plan why we are now.
Laxman, I have two questions on this.
Yeah.
The first question, like in EBS, we can create a custom menu. Similarly, in Fusion, we can have custom job roles where we can exclude a certain menu similar. It's possible, right?
Yeah, possible. Anything like
And
any role you can custom.
Okay, that's fine. So the second one in EBS, you create the responsibility and you assign all the profile option and assign to the user. For example, I have a responsibility called the GL manager.
Yeah.
There are functions called you can post journal, create the journal.
Yeah.
And in EBS, we can also additionally we can have security rule. For example, I have a retained earning account, which even though I have the responsibility, common responsibility. So that particular gear responsibility, I can stop posting the retained earning or any particular account. Is that similar one available in Fusion as well, right?
That is anyway like segment qualifiers we have, right? Through that you can restrict. Here also you can do that.
Do that. Okay.
Right.
We will be covering those parts as well, right?
I'll take it through all this process.
Okay. Fine. Thank you.
Yeah. Again, here naming convention they changed flex field qualifiers, segment qualifiers. Here we call as segment labels and value attributes. Different naming conventions they're given. Anyway, we'll see when we are creating the chart of account structure. Again, we have to create instance.
I have a question on role copying.
Yeah.
Yeah, you mentioned we can always copy a role and customize it as per our need.
Correct.
Generally, in EBS, we used to face a problem that people used to combine any two roles which actually fall into segregation of duty conflicts. For example, invoice creation and the payment. So when I create a custom role in Fusion, if I try to combine two conflicting responsibilities, is it allowed? Or actually I can create two different roles, I can assign to the same person, that's fine. But one role should not have two conflicting tasks. Is there any controls available by default?
The roles, whatever they have, they built on role inheritance. So because of that reason, there won't be any such kind of issue. You can combine multiple roles. Generally, that we call in the Fusion as a part of custom roles, role hierarchy we call. Okay.
Okay. So if I inherit everything will come from invoice user responsibility, I can add payment user functions in the same role?
Yes, you can do that.
Okay. So there is no control on segregation of duty by default from role perspective?
No. The based on, what duties you segregated for that user, for which access you want to give, those all you can include in that. So we got very good flexibility here. Okay, you can create role from the scratch. How you create menu from scratch by copying that privileges into that. In the same way here, if you want to create from scratch, you can create, and if you want to copy and if you want to do the modification, you can copy and you can edit as per a requirement that you can use it, and you can compare two roles. So in EBS we have two roles related to payables. Those two, if you want to compare, you don't have a separate function within that. But here you can select role 1, role 2, then you can compare what we have distinct, what we have common, what we have in the one role, what we don't have in second role, or in the other way. You can look into that. That's how you can analyze that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Laxman, my question regarding the security rule, which is slightly different from the segment qualifier. For example, you have an account, segment qualifier is posting is allowed. But the security rule, even though the posting is allowed, the security rule, which even though the posting is allowed, within that responsibility, you can stop the user to post the journal. So that's slightly different. So my question was more on the security.
When you talk about security rule, they did some change in this. They did some change.
Okay.
So in case of EBS, the security will be setting value set as well as segment level, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Type will be setting and the security type, and the segment level will be enabling the security. But in the Fusion, the security we are not going to set at segment level. There is no segment level security. It's always value set level. So that there are some other points related to some intercompany also. Because of that, we have to manage with some workaround. Whatever the company value set you use, you cannot use for intercompany. Reason, if you enable what are the value set you use for that, if you are using the security rule, if you are going to assign to intercompany, again that will fail. It won't work. So there are a few points. We'll discuss on that. We'll definitely as a part of our course.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. So any questions here, please? Yeah.
Laxman, one last question. So all these, like all the menus, right? Menus, responsibilities. So all are in the F&D schema in EBS. So is it same schema for Fusion?
The same schema, yes. The names we have
F&D only?
kind of link from there. You can see all the information also. I'll take it with that.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So any questions here, please?
Laxman?
Yeah.
Laxman, I wanted to know, do we have something like menu exclusions what we had in R12?
Menu exclusions, no. Here we call as the roles or no roles related exclusions we have. Only the option as we are discussing. We can copy and you can remove, that's it. Okay, because see, in EBS they given that option. There is no flexibility where you can create another menu by just copying and modifying. That flexibility we don't have. But here we got a very good flexibility. Simply you can make a copy and you can remove. That you can treat as a new role which is required for so and so user. And anytime if you want to see, when you exclude, you can include also later, right? Here simply you can add it. You can remove, you can add. That's a very simple task. Okay, that's how they give it. Yep. So fine. Then we'll have one more session on this theoretical understanding. Tomorrow session will talk about fusion user, a few other points also. Then the further session will directly jump into the application. Yeah, please.
Laxman, I have a question here. Is there a concept of profile in Oracle Fusion? And if not, so how it is managed in Fusion?
Yes, we have. But we don't have any profile option for general ledger, the primary ledger, and to assign the business units. See, in EBS, we assign the primary ledger to responsibility. We assign operating unit to responsibility, and we'll assign the many things. We'll use different profile options. Those are all profile options we don't have, but still we have.
So I believe there is a concept of Mounika as well as in multi-org access.
Sorry for see the profile option usage drastically they reduce. To complete your complete financials configuration. So when you are doing the finance configuration, you no need to set single profile option.
Okay. Now the basic profile option like HR, security, all these things are there, or
no, we don't have. MO, HR,
MO operating,
ledger name. These profile options we don't have. So that connectivity, how system is building, we'll see that. So when I talk about data roles, there it will come into the picture. So automatically system it will join that business unit or the primary ledger with respect to roles through data roles concept. We'll see that. We'll discuss and we'll be doing in the system. Yeah. Fine. We'll connect tomorrow same time and we'll just try to complete the rest of theoretical section by tomorrow session. From the next session, we'll start with the user creation, project creation, and we'll just go in the sequence.
Mr. Venkat.
I have a question. Can we assign multiple operating units, business units to the one ledger? We have two business units. One have currency in the PKR and second is GBP. Can we combine it in a single ledger in Fusion application, or we will define a separate ledger?
When we talk about operating units with a specific primary ledger, those will follow the same currency. So can we assign? Normally, yes, we can have you can have a multiple balance and segments within the ledger. By mapping that, you can have multiple business units or operating units. But when it comes to currency, it's totally different. That is not possible. If you want to have foreign currency transaction, you can have. But one you will have a ledger currency one and BU currency is totally different. It cannot be supported.
Laxman, I have one question regarding localization.
Yeah.
How many localization do we have in these Fusion applications?
So for primary countries, we have localization. So primary countries. When you talk about the taxation, related for most of the countries they have, but for India it's not ready. Okay, which taxes will take the advantage of EBT, e-business tax and EBS case. For those all the countries in the fusion, we have a fusion tax, so the solution is ready. Okay, say for say India localization, we have that solution is not yet ready from Oracle. They are working on that. So for now, no.
And what about the languages?
Languages, yes, for multi-language option is available in the fusion applications. Okay, for very
Arabic,
very the
Russian.
I mean very the key countries like for most of the countries available. Maybe for few countries may not be available. For most of the countries, we can see the language selection instance
What
available.
about Middle East? Is there any option for Middle East Arabic language?
Yeah, we have that.
Oh, thank you.
Laxman, I have one last question.
Yeah.
For you're saying about the profile option, right?
Yeah.
So profile option, you're saying data group or data roles will take care of that, right?
Yeah, correct.
So, but if we want to custom, like if the client have a requirement for a custom profile option,
we can custom profile option.
The EBS we can create custom profile options,
Okay.
right? Based on that, we can modify our customization. So in Fusion, so we have to do the data role way through SOA.
Yeah, we can create the data custom data roles. We can create. I'll take you through that process.
Okay.
We'll be creating in our classes.
That will be SOA.
Yeah.
And we do that through SOA development.
Yeah, we'll be covering the custom data roles creation also.
Okay.
Yeah.
Laxman, regarding this multi-language, in EPS we have to apply some patches and all to enable some other language other than English. So how about it?
That will be done by Oracle only. See, when you're taking the subscription only, you'll be giving all your requirement. So based on that, they'll apply the patch and they'll be giving the access to the relevant instance.
Okay, it is from the database, not from the application setting.
Yes.
Multi-language.
They will do it. Oracle will do it, the patching and all. So because in case of Fusion, we are not going to manage this instance and all. Everything should be done by Oracle only. That is the reason we won't have any privileges to do any that sort of activities which we do in EBS. Fine. So that's all for today. We'll connect tomorrow and we'll just continue from here. And
Laxman, can you share the documents if you can? Yeah, these two training links to the recordings.
Yeah, you'll be receiving maybe within 1 hour. Yeah.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Thank you.
What's the time tomorrow? Laxman, same time.
Yeah. Thank you. Have a good day and good night. Thank you all.